सर्वेभ्यः हृत्पूर्वक नमस्काराः। प्रवेशकक्ष्यायां सर्वेषां स्वागतम्। प्रथमतः गुरुवन्दनम् उक्त्वा प्रारम्भं कुर्मः। Welcome to the class for preparatory course for level 1 of Samskriта Bharati, that is Pravesha. As usual, let us begin with Guru Vandanam and Mangala Shlokaha. Gurureva gatir gurumeva bhaje Gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave Na gurov paramam shishurasmi guroho Matirasti gurau mama pahi guru Bravimi samskritam vacha Dhyayami samskritam hrida Kurve sevanchakayena Vande samskrita mataram Yonaras samskrita vyom nihyalayam Ramate muda Samskritin chaiva samskaram Vindate natra samshayah. So, at the outset, my apologies for a rough voice today. I mean, I'm also sorry that I could not take class last week because I had lost my voice for a few days. So please bear with my voice today also. And I understand that you all have learned chanting Guru Vandanam and the Mangala Shlokaha so far. So we will move to the basics of Sanskritam today. And it's our endeavor to see that maybe in a few classes or midway through the course, you yourself will be able to tell the meaning of this Guru Vandanam, the significance and the meaning of these Prarthana Shlokas. So we will definitely share the meaning with you, but also let us wait till a certain point where you are able to share the meaning yourself. So you've learned enough Sanskritam to understand the meaning yourself. So in the very first class, we had looked at what are the learning outcomes from this course. So I'm just displaying it on your screen for those who might have missed that class. So we are going to be learning the basic concepts of Sanskrit, grammar, nouns, verbs, pronouns, indeclinables, improve fluency in reading Sanskrit, Sanskrit sentence construction, basic comprehension skills, and accurate pronunciation skills, which you all have already started learning, chanting simple Sanskrit verses, basic conversational words, introduction to Subhashitani, riddles, overview of literature in Sanskrit. So like you know, this class is based on the syllabus prescribed by Samskriта Bharati for Pravesha. And according to the syllabus, we have various components. Varnamala, that is the very first component, which we are going to be dealing with in today's class. Then we will move to Gunitaksharani, Samyuktaksharani, Namapadam, Sarvanamaha, Sarvanama Shabdaha, and Kriyapadam, verb, Lakaraha, tenses, different tenses in Sanskrit. You're going to be introduced to 4 main tenses in Pravesha. And conversational words, riddles, verses, introduction to Sanskrit literature. This is the basic overview of Pravesha syllabus. Now, before we begin, also we have Katha, story, and Samskrita Vyavaharaha, conversation, Subhashitani, Avyayani, indeclinables, Kridantaha, words ending with the suffix Krit. Okay, so before we begin today's class, Many of you had asked me, especially those in other countries like the UK, Argentina, Trinidad, West Indies, Malaysia. A lot of you had, I think, Romania. So many of you had emailed, also asked in class about the registration and how you could procure the textbook. So what we understand from Samskritam Bharati is that in due course, and very shortly, I'm hoping they will be sharing the bank account details and an email address. So we will share that with you. Whoever has emailed to us regarding the registration process in their country, you would receive an email from Vyoma directly, giving you the details, the bank account details, and also the email. So once you make the payment to the bank account, then you can send an email to Samskritam Bharati Bangalore. The email ID will also be shared with you, and you could write to them with your postal address, and they will send you the textbook by post. So whoever has emailed me, please watch out for this email and please wait. So once we get the details from Samskritam Bharati, we will be sharing the same with you, and you could register and get your Pravesha textbooks. So whoever has faces the same issue and you haven't emailed us yet, please do so that individually we will reply to each of the emails. Okay, so with that, I must also say, like I said in the first class, that the first 4 or 5 classes will be introduction to Sanskrit language, Sanskrit grammar, the basics, etc. And this will also give us some time because there are many of you who are yet to receive the textbook. So we are hoping that by the time we complete these basic introductory classes, most of you will have the textbook with you, so we can go lesson by lesson. And these introductory classes will also lay a good foundation for you in Sanskrit grammar and help you these lessons better once we start with lesson 1. Also, there overlap, like Varnamala, what we are learning today is also a part of lesson 1. So some aspects of the lessons we would have already covered in these introductory classes. And when we start with the lessons, it would be like a recap for you. Okay, so with that, let me introduce you to this word, Samskritam. So as we all know, Samskritam is the name of this beautiful language which we are learning. And it is called Sanskrit in English, but the actual term is Samskritam. Now, what does this word Samskritam mean? It means Samyak Kritam. So it is what we call a compound word in Sanskrit. It consists of 2 words, Samyak and Kritam. Samyak means perfect or well. Kritam means done or made. So it means it is a language which is perfectly done or perfectly made or well made. So in Sanskritam, every word, every letter, we will know why it is so, where it is derived from. So in that way, it is very logical and a scientific language. Even the Varnamala, the letters we learn today, going further, we may not go into in-depths of Sanskrit grammar, but those who are interested, you will know that there is a reason, there is you have texts and sutras where these letters have originated from. So it is a very refined language and a perfect language. Therefore, it is called Samskritam. Okay, so with this, we are introduced to this word Samskritam, and let us begin our journey. I must state that the basics are extremely important. So as you go forward in your journey, you will realize that the stronger your basics are, the easier it is for you to learn the nuances of the language and appreciate the language. So my earnest request is all of you, please pay attention to the basics. And once you master the basics, then learning the language further becomes extremely easy. So let us try to lay a very good foundation for you. And it is also our endeavor that in this course, we stimulate your interest so much that you go forward and take up the other exams of Samskrita Bharati and maybe other organizations also, and progress in your study of Sanskritam. So this is the first step, which is very crucial. Okay. So the basic unit of any language is the alphabet. And in any language, of course, the most natural way of learning is by listening and speaking, like you pick up your mother tongue. But when you start learning reading and writing, we start with the alphabet. And in Sanskritam, we call the Sanskrit alphabet as Varnamala, or garland of letters. Now, what do you mean by the word Varna? Mala is garland. Varna. Swatantra dhvanihi varnaha bhavati. Swatantra dhvanihi. It means the last indivisible part or the last independent part of any language is Varna, or is a letter. So Swatantra dhvanihi varnaha bhavati. For example, when I say aksharam, aksharam is another word for letter. And when you take the word aksharam, you take a, the first letter. You cannot divide a further, right? So that is the last indivisible part. So these are the basic building blocks of Sanskrit. So let us learn, or let us get introduced to the Sanskrit alphabet. Now we might think this is very simple. We all already know it. It is very important to go into the nuances of pronunciation of letters, etc. Because going further, when you learn, say, combining letters, sandhi rules, etc. And also, when you want to pronounce shlokas or read Sanskrit accurately, it is very important to get the basics of these letters right. So let us move to Varnamala. So, Varnaha, letters. There are three main types of Varnaha in Sanskritam. Svaraha, vowels, vyanjanani, consonants, ayogavahaha. Now, I must stress here that in many textbooks, including Pravesha, ayogavahaha are generally shown as a part of Svaraha only, and we will learn about it in detail. However, as we are learning the basics, it would be better if we understand a little bit more in detail and understand the technicalities, so that, like I said, it would help you in future also. And the rules of classification of the letters are derived from what we call Shiksha Shastram. So there is a huge repository of knowledge. It is a science of letters and science of pronunciation in Sanskrit called Shiksha Shastram. This is the basis for the letters and for the division of letters and for understanding the right pronunciation. And Paniniya Shiksha is a very authentic and a very popular aspect of which also gives us the rules of Shiksha Shastra. So based on that, we will learn what are the different ways of classifying. So like I said, we have vowels, swaraha, vyanjanani, consonants. Ayogavahaha, we don't have an equivalent word in English for ayogavahaha. We will learn more about them. The reason we are going a bit more detail into ayogavahaha is also because in many of the shlokas which you come across in Pravesha and other verses, it is very important to understand the pronunciation, not just shlokas, even when you're reading any text, prose, anything for that matter in Sanskrit. For that, it is important to understand this distinction in letters. Okay, let us come to the first type of letters called Svaraha. Svaraha or vowels. And I will also be requesting some of you to repeat after me so that you get the pronunciation right. The second type, Vyanjanani or consonants. And then we have Ayogavahaha. Okay, let us begin with Swaraha. So what I would do initially, I will pronounce all the Swaras. Then please raise your hand, whoever wishes to repeat, and I will call out your names and you could repeat after me. So please look at the screen. A, A, I, U, U, R, R, L, E, I, O, Au, Aha. Aha are highlighted in yellow for a particular reason. We will come to that. Now let me ask anyone to repeat after me. Initially, we will be taking it a bit slow. We have participants from different world, and some of them may not be familiar with Indian languages or these letters. So this class will be medium paced so that everyone can benefit from it. So those who already know all this, please bear with us. Anita Vijayji. Yes. Namaste. Namaste. You could repeat after me. A. 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 I. 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 U. 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 R. 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 L. L. E. E. I. I. O. O. Au. Au. Aha. Aha. Uttamam. Dhanyavadaha. Anita ji. Okay. Atlani ji. Could you unmute, please?
Yes. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Where are you joining us from? Which part?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay, wonderful. Would you like to repeat or would you like to read yourself?
No, I repeat. Thank you.
You will read?
No, I repeat. I repeat.
Okay. Yes. So let us do it again. Please, all of you note the spotlight. I'm spotlighting the letter which we are pronouncing. A.
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 I.
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 U.
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 R.
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 L.
L.
E.
E.
I.
I.
O.
O.
Au.
Au.
Aha.
Aha.
Uttamam. Dhanyavadaha.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. So let us see these letters. So you might have realized that some letters are pronounced short. The duration is short, like A, I, U, R, L. and some are long. A, E, U, R, A, I, O, Au. Okay, and we have and aha. So we need to be clear about the duration of pronunciation of these letters. So we have short vowels and long vowels. We have a separate slide on that. We will come to that in detail. But for now, please understand that these letters A, I, U, R, L are pronounced with a short duration. Now, this particular letter here, I hope you all can see the spotlight. It is called L. So sometimes there is a tendency to pronounce it as R. It is not right. It is not R. It is L. There is another separate Gunitaksharam. We will learn what a Gunitaksharam is in Sanskrit called R. That is a different letter. That is not similar to this letter. I mean, that is not the same as this letter. Rather, though there is some similarity, the way we write also is slightly different from this. So this particular letter you see here, sorry, in the vowels, Swaraha, is L. Okay, so I hope that's clear. It is L without the R sound. And also please note how this letter is written. We will learn R a little later. And I will tell you the difference between L and R in the way it is written. This is a Swara. And also please note R and R. So here one example is Rishihi, sage. So here when you say Rishihi, it is neither Rishihi, it is not E, nor is it Rushihi. So that is there is a tendency to, interchange or mispronounce this. It is R and R. It is neither E nor U. Okay, so please note that difference clearly. And another important thing to note is these letters A, I, O, Au are always pronounced long in Sanskrit. There is no shorter version of these letters. So, for example, when we say Venkateshaha, it is Venkateshaha. It is not Venkateshaha. Very often we hear Venkateshaha. There is no Venka in Sanskrit. It is Venkateshaha because A is always a long letter in Sanskrit. In some Indian languages like Kannada and Telugu, we have the shorter version of this letter also. So we have A, I, O. So even O has a shorter version and a longer version in some Indian languages. But in Sanskritam, we have to note that A, I, O, Au are always pronounced long. They are long letters. So we should never pronounce them short. I hope this is clear. And aha, if you see, the swara here, the vowel is a, and we have a dot on top. So it is pronounced as The next one, aha, is again a, followed by two dots next to a, that is pronounced as aha. So, like I said, in many textbooks, in many basic Sanskritam books, aha are also shown as a part of Swaraha. So even in your exam, when you're asked to write what are Swaraha, you are expected to write from a to aha. But going by the rules of Shiksha Shastram and certain technical aspects of Sanskrit grammar, aha are actually known as ayogavahau. They form a part of the third type of letters, which I told you as ayogavahaha. There are 4 kinds of ayogavahaha. We will learn about them. But aha are also ayogavahau. We will learn in detail. But like I'm stressing on this in your exam, whenever you are asked to write Svaraha, please write from to aha. We'll just know that there is another kind of letter in Sanskrit called Ayogavaha, and there are 4 of them. We will come to that, which is why I have highlighted and aha separately in yellow. Okay, now what is the meaning of a Swaraha? Now, Swaraha is singular, Swaraha is plural. And why do we have this distinction of vowels and consonants? Swayam rajante iti Swaraha. Swayam, on their own, rajante, they shine or they are capable of existing on their own. So any letter which is capable of independent existence without depending on any other letter is called a Swara. So when you take a, I, they are independent letters by themselves. They are not depending on any other letter, and they're not taking the assistance from any other letter. Therefore, these letters which are capable of independent existence are called Swaraha, as opposed to Vyanjanani or consonants, which require the support of a Swara for complete pronunciation. And we will see why that is so when we come to Vyanjanani or consonants. So you see the distinction is very, very scientific. It is not just a random classification, but it is a very scientific, logical classification of letters. Going further, you will see even more aspects of how scientific this classification is and how we have different types of letters. Now let us come to Anuswaraha Visargaha Cha. So we already saw and aha, right? So is called Anuswara and is represented as a dot above the letter. So you see this here, and you see the dot above a. So this dot is here, this dot you see. It is called an Anuswara, and it is represented as a dot above the letter. Now, there is a definition for Anuswaraha also. We don't need to get into all these details at Pravesha level or even for the exam. This is just for those who are curious, who want to know more about why it's called Anuswara. So, Swaram Anuprayujyate iti Anuswaraha, or Anuswaraha Swarat Paraha Prayujyate. So, it is used along with the Swara. So, it doesn't have an independent existence again. So just the dot we can't represent. So it is used along with the Swara. And the 2 dots you see here, the next one, aha, this is called a Visarga. And this is also represented after a letter. Now, Visarga again has a definition. Vividhatam srijati iti Visargaha. So that which manifests itself in many ways is called a Visarga. You will see that the Visarga has various manifestations and undergoes various changes also, depending on the letter it follows or the letter which is following the Visarga, etc. So Visarga has various manifestations, and Anuswara and Visarga both are used along with other letters. Just to reiterate, Anuswara is the dot above this which you see here, this dot, and so this is Anuswara. The 2 dots you see after a, aha, this is a Visarga. So and aha. Anuswaraha, the dot, So you see the pronunciation of Anuswara. You pronounce the letter and then the m after that. let me just show which one I'm pronouncing. This is this is this is and im. The last one is im. So it is following the swara. Here im, So whichever swara it follows, the pronunciation will be according. Visargaha, aha. So similarly, we will see you write a and the 2 dots after that is called a visarga. Aha, aha, ihi. So I hope you got the pronunciation. Aha, the first one. Aha, ihi. A plus anuswaraha gives you A plus visargaha gives you aha. And similarly, this you can do this with all the letters also. Let's see some examples of anuswara and how it is used. Im, im, rim, lim, aim, aim, om, aum. So I hope you got the pronunciation and how it is used. Now let us see the usage of visarga. Aha, aha, ihi, ihi, uhu, uhu. One thing we must note is whether the visarga is preceded by a short letter or a long letter, the duration of pronouncing the visarga is the same. So whether you say aha or aha, only the is getting elongated here. You're hearing, but the visarga as such, the pronunciation of the visarga, that duration remains the same. So only the preceding letter you pronounce whether it is a short letter or a long letter, but the visarga pronunciation remains consistent. This we have to note. Aha, aha, ihi, ihi, uhu, uhu. Similarly, it goes on for other letters also. So I hope you got this distinction between anuswara and visarga and the distinction between other swaraha and anuswaraha and visargaha. Now, sorry. So let us learn more about ayogavahaha. So I told you that there is a special category of letters in Sanskrit called ayogavahaha, and anuswara and visarga form a part of that. So we already learned anuswaraha, which is the dot above a letter. Example is and sorry, the slide is taking some time to appear. Visargaha. The visarga, the 2 dots after a letter, example is aha. Now there is another form of ayogavaha called upadhmaniyaha. Let us learn what this is. Also, this again is not you don't find it in the Pravesha textbook explicitly. But while reading and while chanting shlokas, this will be very helpful to you, which is why I am explaining this. Also, I will tell you, we get a very common question, especially in the first shloka, which we learned, Guru Vandanam, right? So we get a question, why is it pronounced as Naguro Paramam? Why the Visarga is not pronounced fully? So the answer to that lies here. Now, Upadhmaniyaha, it is represented by this, if you see this sort of a, the tree, I mean sleeping tree, if I may call it that way. So if you see the inverted one and the other sleeping tree below that, so that is let me draw it and show you. This is how an upadhmaniya is represented. Now, in many textbooks, you will not see it this way. They will just show you by a visarga. For example, let us take the first Guru Vandanam we learnt. Gurure vagatir gurumeva bhaje gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave nagurov paramam. That is the word here, right? Nagurov paramam. Now, what is that word? It is actually a visarga, naguroho paramam. A visarga followed by pa. So, whenever a visarga is followed by pa, in the pronunciation, it gets replaced by what we call upadhmaniya. So, when we chant, it becomes, or when we read, it becomes naguro paramam. So, we don't say naguroho visarga completely and then paramam. While chanting, you might have noticed, we say naguro paramam. Okay, so that pronunciation which you are getting, when a visarga is followed by pa or pha. So here the rule of upadhmaniya is whenever a visarga is followed by pa or pha. Now we will learn this pa or pha, these letters we will learn in Vyanjanani again. So whenever a visarga is followed by pa or pha, we get this pronunciation called upadhmaniya. In many texts, it is just shown as a visarga itself. Like even in the Guru Vandanam shloka, you don't have this symbol. But please note that there is a specific symbol for upadhmaniya. And is this mandatory? Is this compulsory? No. So chanting or pronouncing an upadhmaniya is not a mandatory rule, but it is very commonly seen in usage. And many of you who have learned Sanskrit shlokas would have learned this pronunciation without even, paying attention or having knowledge that this is specifically upadhmaniya. But this is important to know. So let us go back to that slide of Guru Vandanam. I'll explain. That's a very good example for, let me just go straight there. So look at the slide. If you see, Naguro Paramam. Here, you see a visarga followed by pa, right? So when we chant, we are not chanting Naguroho Paramam. We are not chanting the visarga completely. We are saying Naguro Paramam, right? So that is what is the upadhmaniya. Now, when do we have upadhmaniya? Whenever visarga is followed by pa or pha. Now, we will learn these vyanjanas and we will see where exactly they fit in the scheme of Varnamala. But for now, you can remember that whenever the visarga is followed by pa or pha, then we get this pronunciation called upadhmaniya. Like I already said, upadhmaniya is not mandatory, but it is highly recommended and it is a very good practice to consistently chant upadhmaniya. I'm sorry, I'll have to, when I make it full screen, I'll have to go through all these slides to come to the Ayogavahaha slide where we were. Yes, so we were here. Now, like I said, visarga followed by pa or pha gives us upadhmaniya. This is the third type of Ayogavaha. The fourth type is what we call jihvamuliyaha. What does jihvamuliyaha mean? It means root of the tongue. Okay, so that is where that denotes the origin of this particular pronunciation. Similar to upadhmaniya, whenever a visarga is followed by ka, okay, this is another letter in Sanskrit, or kha, both these are consonants. So whenever a jihvamuliya is followed by ka or kha, then we get this pronunciation of whenever visarga is followed by ka or kha, we get this pronunciation of jihva muliya. How does it happen? Antaha karanam. So actually this word here is antaha, visarga karanam. But when we pronounce it as antah karanam. So did you see what is happening? The visarga is not pronounced fully. It is only pronounced half. Antah karanam. And where is that sound coming from? Antah karanam is coming from the root of the tongue. Therefore, jihva means tongue in Sanskrit. Mula means the root or the base of the tongue. So, antah karanam. Okay, so therefore, the pronunciation is called jihva muliyah. Those who are familiar with the Gita will know sukha dukkhe same kritva. There, dukkhe, that word, duhu, followed by khe. There again, jihva muliya, dukkhe. Adveshta sarvabhutanam, another verse from the Gita, 12th chapter. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitrah karuna evacha. Maitraha karuna evacha. Maitraha karuna, when we have a jihva muliya pronunciation, becomes maitrah karuna evacha. Next line, nirmamo nirahankaraha sama dukkha sukhaha. So dukkha, see the pronunciation of that word. It is duhu and kha. It means sorrow in Sanskrit. But when you pronounce it, it becomes dukkha. Sama dukkha sukhaha kshami. So I hope you got this. So like we said, this class also, we aim to improve your pronunciation skills. So these differences become very important while pronouncing Sanskrit letters, Sanskrit words, while chanting, etc. Now, before we move on, another thing to note, jihva muliyaha, I told you, root of the tongue is the pronunciation. What about upadhmaniya? So this is a very common question. Is upadhmaniya fa sound? A very, very common question we get. The answer is no. Upadhmaniya is not fa sound. There is no fa sound in Sanskrit. It is only pa. Even the letter in the consonants is pa. We use both the lips. So there is a sutra, and we will be learning about place of origin of letters in our future classes to help us identify from where each letter we are pronouncing, so that we are more aware of our pronunciation. So according to one particular rule there, the letters pa, pa and upadhmaniya, they have to be pronounced using both the lips. Oshtau, we say. Oshtau means both the lips. It's a dual number, dvivachanam, oshtau. So upadhmaniya is pronounced using both the lips. So naguro paramam. What is happening here? There is a sudden expulsion of air and we are closing the lips. It is not fa. When you say fa, like say fruit, when you say fruit or full, if you notice, if you become aware when you're pronouncing these words, the teeth are touching the lower lip. When you say fa, fruit, full, so the upper teeth are touching the lower lip. But that is not the rule for pronouncing upadhmaniya. You should use both the lips and not the teeth. So there is a sudden expulsion of air and closing of lips. So naguro paramam. I hope this is clear. This is a very common doubt. And with practice, you will be able to understand how to pronounce this accurately. So it is not the F sound. That is what I wanted to clarify. And both upadhmaniya and jihva muliya are optional rules, but very commonly, and it is also very good practice and recommended that we consistently use these whenever it is appropriate to use them. So the jihva muliya is represented by these curves in this way. You can see it clearly on in the printed words here. Shaurih kathamapi antah karanam. Sorry. In many Sanskrit texts and shlokas, you will not see these signs unless it is, a very, very accurate representation, and it's a publication where they want to show Upadhmaniya, Jihvamuliya specifically. You will not see these signs. You will see Visarga only. So only this is what you will see in most of the texts. But we need to be aware that there is a special sign, and also that there is a special pronunciation. So now I hope it's clear why you have Naguro Paramam, why you are chanting that way, that verse. Okay. So whatever questions you have, please type in the Q&A section there. I will take them up maybe last 10 minutes of today's session. Questions which are not answered here, or in case by oversight, I don't read out any question, please feel free to send me an email. Now let us learn this shloka. I would again request, okay, I see Sheetal ji, could you please repeat after me?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to repeat,
Can-
Sheetal ji?
Yes, madam.
And there is no compulsion. I saw that you had raised your hand, which is why I called out your name.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So, yes. Ekamatro
Ekamatro
bhavedhrasvo
bhavedrasvo
dvimatro
dvimatro
dirgha uchyate
dirgha uchyate
trimatrastu
trimatrastu
pluto
pluto
gneyah
gneyah
dyanjanam
yanjanam
tvardhamatrakam.
tvardhamatrakam.
Dhanyavadaha, Sheetal ji. So
Dhanyawad.
I will explain this shloka, and then I will ask another participant to repeat it. Let us see what the meaning of this shloka is. Ekamatro bhavedhrasvo. So we learned, while learning swaras, we learned that there are some swaras which are pronounced short. Some are pronounced long. So this distinction between short and long vowels is given in this particular verse. So everything in Sanskrit, like I said, it's like a formula, in maths. You have a rule. You remember this, you just remember this verse, and you will be very clear about the distinction between the short and long letters. Let us first, these are the types of letters we are dealing with, types of swaras. So here, hrasva, you see this word here, hrasvaha, that is how it is pronounced. Hrasvaha is a short letter. And the examples are a, I, U, R, L. What is the definition of a short letter? Ekamatraha. So you see here, ekamatraha bhaved hrasvaha. Bhavet means it would be. Hrasvaha. So ekamatraha means one matra. Now what is the meaning of one matra? Matra kala is a unit of measurement of time. Okay. So what you could analogize that to one involuntary blinking of the eye. So when you blink your eye once involuntarily, what is the time taken? So that is a very common example given to describe what is one matra. Eka means one in Sanskrit, and matra is a unit of time. Or to snap your fingers, or to clap once. So what is the time duration taken? That is called one matra. You can all experiment it. E. You can blink your eye once. Now it would be voluntarily when you are doing it to experiment. But the time is the involuntary blinking of the eye. So when you say A, E, U, R, L, that is ekamatra kala. So this is the definition given for a short letter. Okay, I hope this is clear. One matra kala, or once, clap your hand once. So one matra kala is that duration. So all the letters which take one matra kala for pronunciation are called hrasvaha, or they are called short letters. Okay, these you already learnt. Now let us move to the next distinction. Dvimatraha. Dvi means two in Sanskrit. Dvi, this particular word dvi means two. Dvimatraha. Two matra kalas. I told you eka matra kala is one unit of time. That would be hrasva spara, or a short letter. Dvimatraha dirghaha. More than one, double of hrasva is dirghaha. Okay, so let us pronounce a, I, U, R, A, I, O, Au. So exactly twice or double the time taken to pronounce a short letter is a dirgha. So these are the two main types of distinction based on the time taken to pronounce, which we already came across in Swaraha when we learned the Swaraha. Apart from this, we have two more types, which let us learn now. Trimatrastu pluto gneyo says the definition. Trimatraha, three times the time taken. Okay, so let me. Yeah, 3 is again in Sanskrit also it's 3, in English also it's 3. Here, trimatraha means when it is 3 matra kalas, it is called a plutaswara. So if you see this representation here after a, this means 3. E also it is 3. Sorry. A, I, U, R, L, A, I is shown as 4 and O is also shown as 4 because their pronunciation is slightly more than the others where 3 is shown, and O. So these are even longer swaras where the pronunciation is 3 matras, and especially for I and O it is a little longer. So a question arises, sorry, where do we come across this pronunciation? So this we come across in Vedas. While chanting Vedas, they have these elongated notes and they are denoted with a number next to them, signifying that they have to be elongated while chanting the Vedas. This we do not come across in conversational Sanskrit, but we need to know that based on the duration of pronunciation, we have Plutaha also, which is 3 matra kala. So we learnt Hrasvaha, short letters, Eka matra kala, Dirghaha, long letters, Dvimatra kala, 2 matra kalas, which are seen in vowels and which we use in conversational Sanskrit. Trimatraha, longer than Dirgha. They are Plutas used in Vedas. There is one more type, which is called Ardhamatrakam. Ardhamatrakam, Ardha means half in Sanskrit. Okay, Ardha means half. So half of what? Half of this Ekamatra. So this time taken is 1. This is half, Ardha. So what takes half the time to pronounce? Vyanjanam, or a consonant. We will come to detailed overview of consonants. So a consonant, when you say K, just the K is the consonant, or say the word Varnin. In the end, there is a N, half N. So that is a consonant. When does it become Ka? K becomes Ka only when it combines with a Swara. We will come to this in detail. But just a Vyanjanam by itself, a consonant by itself, without the support of any other Swara, the time taken to pronounce is Ardhamatrakam, or half a matra kala. So this is the distinction based on the duration of pronunciation of letters. I will read this shloka now once again. So I think now after this explanation, this shloka should be clear, and then I will request one of you to read it also. Ekamatro bhaved hrasvo dvimatro dirgha uchyate trimatrastu pluto gnyeyo vyanjanam tvardhamatrakam. I hope this is clear. Maybe one of you could read it, and then I will recap whatever we have done. Sheila ji, please unmute and read this.
Yes. Ekamatro bhavedrasvo dvimatro dirgha uchyate trimatrastu pluto gyeyo vyanjanam tvardhamatrakam.
Uttamam. Very well chanted, Sheila ji.
Thank you.
Very well chanted. Okay. So I hope this is clear now, the distinction based on the time taken. Now, quickly, whatever we did today, so we started with Varnamala, and we went through the types of Varnamala, that is the types of letters. We learned what is Varna, the last indivisible part of a language. The types of Varnas, we learned Swaraha, Vyanjanani, two broad classifications, and we also have Ayogavahaha. And then we learned pronunciation of Swaras, and we also learned Ayogavahaha. We learned the types of Swaras based on the duration. Ekamatra, one hrasva, short swara, dirgha, long, which takes 2 matra kalas, trimatras, three matra kalas, which is a pluta swara, and the vyanjanam or a consonant is half a matra kala. We will learn about consonants in the next class. In Ayogavahaha, we learned 4 types, right? So we learned what are the 4 types of Ayogavahaha. We learned Anuswaraha, Visargaha, Amaha, Upadhmaniyaha, when Visarga is followed by pa or pa. Like example, Naguro Paramam. Then Jihvamuliyaha, we learned when a Visarga is followed by ka or kha, like Antah Karanam, Duhkam, Shaurih Kathamapi. So these are the types of Ayogavahaha. So let us stop here for now, and I will see if there are any questions which have been unanswered. Ramuji, course login is slightly different compared to the webinar for other courses. Ramuji, could you please send me an email regarding this? Also, please copy Sanskrit from home at vyomalabs.in, because login, admin issues, we will have to direct these questions to our team. Deepaji, there is no r. It is that swara is l. It is not r. So there is another aksharam called r, which is actually l, the vyanjana l, the consonant l plus the swara r. That is r. That I will explain when we do Gunitaksharani. But in today's class, whatever we learned as a part of swaras, that is l. It is not r. That other r is different. It is not a swara. It is not a vowel. It is a consonant. I will explain that again. Anantji, in English, when we write the, sorry, the representation is not accurate. So it is not lu. It is not lu. Lu in English would be lu. So the pronunciation is not that. It is l. Like, for example, there is a word in Samskritam called kliptam. Means clipped, kliptam. So it is not kliptam, it is not kluptam also. It is neither e nor u. It is in between, kliptam. That is how the pronunciation is. So it is not lu. I think a lot of questions regarding that only. Krishna Chaitanya ji, I don't get your question. Artha Chandra Akara in... could you send me an email, please? Sometimes when you read Sanskrit words in English, it is not very clear. So Krishna Chaitanya ji, please send me an email regarding that. Deepaji, Chandrabindu symbol, yes, is used in a few situations when, say, an anuswara is combining. For example, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. So Krishnam, anuswara followed by V. Instead of chanting anuswara completely, we can chant the nasal V. So it becomes Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. In such situations, it is used. But we are not getting into Sandhi's rules as of now. Tejas Ji, how to say R, 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 and if it is followed by a visarga, R. So R, L, these are slightly less used. The usage is very less. R, L, these swaras, but we need to know that they exist. Raja Srinivasan ji, if that S-like symbol is not upadhmaniya, S-like symbol which you come across in a few Sanskrit verses is actually, it's called an avagraha chinha. Chinha means symbol. Avagraha chinha would mean it is a sandhi. Sandhi means there are certain rules to combine letters. So there is a sandhi called Purva Rupa Sandhi. So in the Purva Rupa Sandhi, you get that avagraha chinha, which again we will not deal with right now, but that S-like symbol is not upadhmaniya. Please note that. How is upadhmaniya pronounced? All that I have dealt with. Upadhmaniya, whether it is F sound also has been explained. Okay, meaning of ayogavaha, maybe I should deal with it in the next class because we've already run out of time. It is slightly, we need to go slightly into grammar for this, Murthy ji. The definition is yogam vina prayogam vahayantiti ayogavaha. Yogam vina prayogam vahayantiti ayogavaha. Yogam means inclusion. So we have something called Maheshwara Sutrani in Sanskrit. We will not be going into details of that, where we derive these letters from. So a to her, Svaraha, Vyanjanani are derived from this Maheshwara Sutrani. I, un, rik, e, ong, I, ouch, there are different Sutrani. In that, we don't have Ayogavaha mentioned. So even though they are not included in Maheshwara Sutrani, they form a part of letters by virtue of their usage. Prayoga, by virtue of their usage, they form a part of Varnamala, though they are not a part of Maheshwara Sutrani. Therefore, they are called Ayogavaha. If this sounds too complicated, we can leave it for now. But because you asked, I'm clarifying this. Tejas ji, Upadhmaniya, Jihvamuliya. The rule is Visarga followed by Pa or Pa for Upadhmaniya. Visarga followed by Ka or Kha for Jihvamuliya. So whatever is the Swara before the Visarga does not matter. Gayatri ji, if you missed yesterday's class, the recordings are available on YouTube. They will be uploaded very soon. Also, the link will be provided on the course page. Ramya ji, why did we pronounce Gneyaha instead of Gneyo in the second line? That is because Gneyaha is splitting the Sandhi. Gneyo is combining. So when I'm pausing or when I'm splitting there, strictly speaking, I should pronounce it as Gneyaha because it is a Visarga. But Gneyo Vyanjanam Tvardhamatrakam, when we are chanting together, it would be Gneyo. So that is again a Sandhi rule, which is why I split it there. Vinita ji, Brahma is pronounced as the way I'm pronouncing it, Brahma. And we have a detailed video on this. I will probably share it with you all by Dr. Soumya Krishnapurji in one of our chanting courses. She has dealt with why words like Brahma, Vanhihi are pronounced in that way. So we belong to the school where we say it's pronounced as Brahma, not Brahma. Krishna ji, plu. Yes, the way you have written is also correct. Plutaha, the font we are using represents it below, but the way you have indicated, that is also correct. So some samyuktaksharani, conjunct consonants, have more than one correct way of representing. So you're right, Krishna Chaitanya ji, that is also correct. The nasal sounds, Vamshi ji, we will be dealing with when we deal with consonants in detail. We will deal with every nasal sound in the Anand ji, very strictly, Plutaha is only, they are used only in Vedas. So elongating on our own, exclamation, etc., they don't really fall under Plutaswaras. Plutaswaras are exclusive to the Vedas. Abhilash ji, the standard is Shiksha Shastram and Paniniya Shiksha, like I said. Jihva Muliya, Upadmaniya, we have dealt with in detail. Kalyani ji, Sandhi is different from Upadmaniya. Satyanarayana ji, Krishnaha. Again, it is not Krishnaha or Krishnaha. It is R, like Rishihi, Krishnaha. Nariji, no, we don't have a dirgha for L. We don't have it in the swaras. Swati ji, R and R. That is the difference between the hrasva and dirgha. Padmaja ji, yes, the PDF documents will be the slides which will be shared every week. Any other pronunciation, jnanam, etc., they will all come under consonants. The sutra for Anuswara and Visarga, okay, I will share that. Pronunciation of jnanam, vijnanam. Yes, we will deal with it again when we come to, they are all actually consonants. So we have not gone that far. Any other remaining questions, you could email them to me. Most of them were regarding Upadmaniya, Jihva Muliya, which is very common. So what we will do is we will conclude. We're already like 10 minutes past our class time. Sorry about that. I will conclude with Shanti Mantraha. Whatever has been covered today, the presentation will be shared on the course page with you. Any admin issues, etc., you could send an email. Sorry. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dhanyavadaha. Agami Ravivasare Punarmilamaha. We will meet at the same time next Sunday. Thank you all very much.